Ubuntu 20.04 is the next major LTS release from Canonical. Ubuntu 20.04 brings some major features which include a kernel 5.4, GNOME 3.36, EXFAT Native Support, new lock screen, and more. Hey, what's up guys, my name is KSK Ryle. In this video, I will show you how to install Ubuntu 20.04 on Raspberry Pi 4. This is going to be a step-by-step installation guide. By the end of this video, you will successfully learn to install Ubuntu Desktop on Raspberry Pi 4. I will also show you how to overclock Raspberry Pi 4 to maximum clock speeds up to 2 GHz, which significantly improves the desktop performance of Ubuntu. Let's get started. First and foremost, go ahead, open your favorite browser. Then the first link will gonna take you to the official website of Ubuntu and download the image file for Raspberry Pi 4. By the time of recording this video, Ubuntu 20.04 is in beta. When the official release rolls out, I will update the links below the description of this video. For now, I will stick with beta version. Now go ahead, choose the 64-bit edition. Then it's going to start downloading Ubuntu 20.04 Server Edition. Don't worry, we can install the latest desktop environment on the top of Ubuntu server after booting Raspberry Pi. Now open the second link, which will take you to another page where you have to download the Balena Etcher. Once it's done downloading all of the files, place it somewhere on your desktop for easier navigation. Now go ahead, install Balena Etcher on your Windows PC. Once it's done installing Balena Etcher, extract the Ubuntu image using any extractor. Now once it's done extracting, you will see a new folder that contains Ubuntu image file, which is around a 2.7 gigs in size. Now that being said, I'm moving on to step number 2, creating bootable SD card. Now open Balena Etcher, then choose a select image and look for the image file that we have extracted. Then choose the drive letter of the SD card. Make sure you have selected proper drive letter and click on Flash to start creating a bootable SD card with Ubuntu 20.04. Sit back and relax, the process will take some time depending on the writing speed of the SD card. As you can see, it has done flashing. Now go ahead, remove the SD card and connect back to the computer. Now open My Computer and the SD card will be displayed as System Boot. Inside the System Boot folder, look for the file named config.txt and open using Notepad++. I'm going to go ahead overclock my Raspberry Pi 4 CPU and GPU to the maximum frequencies by writing these lines. Now keep in mind, when you're overclocking Raspberry Pi, make sure it has a proper CPU cooling or heatsink installed. Also, make sure your power supply is capable of producing 4 volts or higher. Otherwise, the Raspberry Pi 4 will stuck at boot loop. This overclocking process is completely optional. If you're a beginner, you can stick to default clock speeds. In this case, these lines will boost the CPU to a maximum 2 GHz and a GPU to 600 MHz. Now, once it is done writing these lines, save the changes. Now at this point, I'm going to go back to the System Boot folder of SD card and then I'm going to enable the SSH upon booting. Basically, when Raspberry Pi 4 boots up, it uses the Ubuntu CLI interface. Enabling SSH is completely optional. It's up to you if you want to connect to Raspberry Pi remotely. Just for this video, I'm enabling SSH to remotely control my Raspberry Pi 4 from my computer. To enable SSH inside the System Boot directory, highlight the address bar from the top and type cmd to open a command prompt from the current directory. Then type echo right angle and \SSH to enable SSH upon booting. This way I can log into Raspberry Pi 4 remotely within my local network. Now go ahead, eject the SD card and put inside Raspberry Pi 4. In your case, you have to connect your monitor, keyboard, mouse, power supply, and Ethernet cable for internet connection. Once it's done connecting all the things, turn on your Raspberry Pi 4. Wait for a few minutes. The first boot will take around 2 to 4 minutes. Now on my Windows computer, I'm gonna go ahead, open the command prompt and connect to my Raspberry Pi 4 using SSH. By default, the username and password is Ubuntu. Go ahead, log into the Ubuntu. Your Raspberry Pi will ask to change the default password. Go ahead, update the new password. Now as you can see, the new password has been updated successfully. I'm going to go ahead and reconnect back to Raspberry Pi 4, and this time I have to type the new password to log into Raspberry Pi. Now at this point, I have successfully logged into Ubuntu. Now in your case, if you have connected to a monitor, you don't need to use SSH for remote connection. You can directly type the commands from your keyboard connected to Raspberry Pi. Now type sudo apt-get update to update all of the repositories. Once it's done typing, just gonna go ahead and type sudo apt-get upgrade to upgrade the system. Make sure your Pi is connected to Ethernet and has a proper internet connection to download all of the updates. This will take some time, so sit back and relax for a few minutes. Now at this point, we have done updating the Ubuntu system. It's time to install the Ubuntu desktop environment on Raspberry Pi 4. To do so, type sudo apt-get install ubuntu-gnome-desktop. This will install the latest GNOME desktop edition on Raspberry Pi 4. You can also try a different flavors of Ubuntu by typing these commands. Now keep in mind, this will require a faster internet connection to download all the files. So sit back and relax and don't interrupt anything. Now once it's done downloading, go ahead and restart your Raspberry Pi. That's it. Now we have successfully installed Ubuntu 20.04 on Raspberry Pi 4. Now keep in mind, booting into a GNOME desktop for the first time will take around 3 to 5 minutes. Don't worry if it's stuck at blinking the cursor. Just wait until it boots into lock screen. Now as you can see guys, Ubuntu 20.04 looks fantastic on Raspberry Pi 4, and guess what? I have screen recorded this footage that you're watching. And this is it. Ubuntu 20.04 is successfully running on Raspberry Pi 4, and keep in mind overclocking may improve the speed of desktop experience. At the same time, make sure your Pi has a CPU cooler or heatsink installed to avoid overheating issues. Now, one thing you should do after installing Ubuntu on Raspberry Pi is that try to disable system animations to achieve the smoother experience. And that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know what you think. If in case this video helped you, like the video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and consider hitting the bell icon to get notified to see more videos. Thanks for watching. This has been KS Kyle, and I will catch you in my next video. Peace.
I can never ever find the right words, and there's no way this is real life. There's no telling you're the right girl, so I can only say that it feels right. It feels right. It feels right.